and I'm going to do this in 3 parts. First, I'm going to share a story, and then I will briefly tell you about what I do. And then lastly, we will share together in prayer some of the requests that I have on my list. I work at the Institute of World Mission, and what is that? We actually train missionaries for the world church. How many of you have worked as missionaries or as cross-cultural missionaries for the church? Nobody here. We have my husband and I. There may be some here, I just can't see you. But we're all missionaries, aren't we? Right here where we are, we're missionaries too. So I want to begin with, first of all, let me ask you a question. Who can tell me the name of the very first missionary that our church sent out? The name of the very first official Seventh-day Adventist missionary. What was his name? John Nevins Andrews. J.N. Andrews. Yeah, that's correct. Where did he go? Switzerland. That's right. Now I'm going to ask you another question. What is the name of the first missionary kid? If John was the father, yes, his daughter. Okay, what was his daughter's name? Anybody? Mary. Mary Andrews. So maybe now you know this, know what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about a special group of people, and this is a group of missionary kids. You know, you've heard of pastors' kids. How many of you are pastors' kids? PKs. And then you hear of missionary kids, but we don't hear about them very often. We only hear of missionaries. So this is what we're going to be talking about tonight, just briefly. I'm going to read the story to you because I couldn't relate it the way it is written. The first missionary kid. 2 weeks before her 13th birthday. I want you to pay attention to some of the things that I'm going to be reading in the story, because later on I'm going to kind of refer to them. Before her 13th birthday, September 29, 1874, Mary Andrews sailed from Boston, Massachusetts, with her dad, John Nevins Andrews, and her 16-year-old brother Charles for their mission assignment in Switzerland. Mary's father was the first official missionary sent overseas by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. But maybe you didn't realize that young Mary was also a missionary. Mary's mother died when she was 10. So Mary did the grocery shopping, cooking, cleaning, and other housework once they settled in La Coudray, Switzerland. In addition, she and her brother studied French with a tutor for hours every day except Sabbath. The little family decided they would learn French faster if they spoke English between only 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. daily. During that 1 hour, she and Charles talked in English to each other just as fast as they could. Can you imagine? They must have said everything they wanted to say in English in that time, but they were determined to learn French. After the Andrews family had been in Switzerland about a year, the grocery money began to run out. Throughout the year, Mary's dad had written 6 different tracts in French and spent most of their funds printing those missionary journals. This is what missionaries do, you know. They just take money out of their pockets sometimes. So in addition to all of Mary's other responsibilities, she began to pick grapes for vineyard owners in order to earn money for groceries. It was very hard work. But Mary was determined to do all she could to help the people of Switzerland learn more about Jesus and his soon coming. In 1876, the Andrews family moved to Basel. With the rented house came a maid. Her assistance with cooking and cleaning gave Mary more time to help her dad with his publishing projects. Over time, Mary's French became so good that she was able to serve as copy editor for the French Signs of the Times. Imagine, this young girl. Professor Offranc, who had been a French teacher, told people, "Mary speaks French as though she were a French girl." Mr. Offranc's praise made Mary happy that she had studied French so diligently. Unfortunately, Mary contracted tuberculosis and died when she was just 17 years old. She was the first Seventh-day Adventist missionary to give her life in mission service. As trainers for the Institute of World Mission, for the World Church's missionaries and missionary kids, we believe that when God calls a pastor or a teacher, an educator, a dentist or a doctor to the mission field, he also calls the whole family. So therefore, the whole family needs to prepare for that particular service. And maybe it's language learning or cross-cultural training, spiritual and emotional preparation that they need. This is what we provide, the cross-cultural training, and hopefully out of this grows a deeper spiritual understanding of the calling, even for the children. So, while the parents are attending their 3-week training, the teenagers and the children also have cross-cultural training called Children's Mission Institute. Now, you know, when the Andrews family went out many, many years ago, I doubt that they had any kind of training. They had to learn right there on the job. So I want to share with you what I do, because I think many people don't know that we even do this. So what is Children's Mission Institute? It is a 3-week training where children learn, first of all, that they are missionary kids, and that when God calls, like I said, mom or dad, to the mission service, he calls the whole family. Children's Mission Institute is a place where children from everywhere, all over the world, going to everywhere, all over the world, come together and experience at once how to get along through love and respect for each other's cultural differences. And thus they form a bond of lifetime friendships through something they have in common, and that is being an MK, a missionary kid. We have a 16-day curriculum of lessons. It includes reading, crafts, and culture trips, games, an opportunity for children to recognize their identity as missionary kids. And here are some of the topics I just want to share with you. They learn and understand that change and transition is a normal part of life. Do we all have changes? Yes, all the time. Every day we go through changes and transition. In order for an MK to thrive in another culture, it's very important for them to be able to understand the process or the various stages of transition, which is moving from the state of something that's familiar to moving to something that is unfamiliar or unknown, and all the things that happen in between. We liken this to a swing bridge. Have you ever been on a swing bridge? What happens when you walk on a swing bridge? Anybody been on a swing bridge? When you step right here when you start going there onto the bridge, it feels quite okay. But when you get to the middle, it becomes a little unstable and you feel very unsettled until you inch your way along and you find yourself on the other side. Hopefully you didn't fall off in the middle and you feel safe and secure again. This is very similar to what missionary kids and adults go through. You feel comfortable in what you're doing, you know who you are, you know where you live, you know the kid knows whose teacher is, where he goes to church. But then all of a sudden, they're uprooted and they're going somewhere else where nothing is familiar. But after a while, after about a year or so, they feel like they're settling in, they're learning the language, they can understand each other, understand the culture, and pretty soon that place becomes home. But then time goes by and family comes home, they go through the whole cycle again. So, the other thing is that kids learn is they have to make new friends. If you ask the missionary kid, what is the hardest thing for you to leave when you're leaving home or leaving your country? What will they say? Leaving friends. Saying goodbye to friends is one of the hardest things for kids. So making friends and learning to fit in is part of being adaptable. And this is another topic that we pay special attention to. It is especially difficult for teenagers, and I think for those of you who have moved a lot, you can really identify with this. Some, though not all young people, teenagers especially, are almost afraid of making new friends because they are fearful and afraid that they might forget the old friendships. And those friends won't be friends with them anymore. And so these young people are afraid to make new friends. And another reason why some missionary kids are afraid of entering into relationships is because they have said so many goodbyes that it's just less painful not to really enter into a relationship. And some other things that they learn when we're teaching about making new friends, they learn to look for what kind of qualities they look for in friends and how to keep friends. And just coming to Mission Institute, right there, they've made a lot of new friends already. Acknowledging the loss of friendships, but being open to building and maintaining new friendships, and most of all, building a forever friendship with Jesus is key to thriving in a new country. What about conflict? Do kids face conflict or disagreements? Yes, indeed. I have had my share of experience. Every time we teach about conflict and how to deal with it, just about every time there is something that happens, and we have a full live demonstration right there of how to handle conflict. Missionary kids learn that there are good ways. Work it out, talk it out, overlook something, and they learn that there are bad ways. They can either run away or not wanting to talk about it, or blame somebody else, gossip, name-calling. These are all different ways of dealing with agreements, but we try to teach them that choosing the good way helps to reflect Jesus' love to other people. Then another thing that is very important is expectations. You know, we all have expectations, right? Especially if you're going to a new place. What do we really expect to see? What do we expect to do? How will the food be like? What does the place look like? We have our own expectations. But keeping our expectations flexible and maintaining a positive attitude helps to make the adjustments smoother. And these are some of the daily lessons which are integrated with examples of Bible characters like Daniel. Daniel was taken from his home to where? A place that he didn't know, Babylon. And there was Esther. She went and lived in a place that she wasn't familiar with. And there was, who else? Joseph. He was taken to Egypt. And what about Jesus? He came down and lived on earth here. And of course, you know, he lived in Egypt, grew up in Nazareth, different places. These people all moved from culture to culture. Another thing they learn is about cultures. Everyone grows up in a culture. Cultures around the world are different. Missionary kids learn that what is acceptable in one culture may not be acceptable in another culture. Through respect and appreciation, the missionary kid can learn to enjoy cultural differences. What about family? We teach them about family. Family is important. Again, we emphasize that when God calls mom or dad, he calls the whole family. So learning to be supportive and cooperative in the family circle is vital to helping parents be effective in their work as missionaries. When I read the story about Mary Andrews, how did she contribute to the family there? What kinds of things did she do? She bought groceries. She did the cleaning. She did all of these things in the home because she didn't have her mother there to do that for her. So she carried more than responsibilities for the family. Then another thing is saying goodbye. Saying goodbye is part of life. But saying goodbye constantly can be a painful experience. You'll be amazed at the kids who come with their parents to Mission Institute. I have them in my class. And I have them draw, the very first day, I have them draw little faces of how they feel about being there. And some of them have tears running all the way down, from here down on their book, all the way down, because they are so sad that they are leaving home. So goodbye is a painful experience. But we teach them how to say healthy goodbyes. And trusting Jesus to heal the hurt helps the MK to thrive in a new country and a new culture. So why is all this training necessary? Why are we doing this? Can't people just move and go there and live and, life goes on? Why do we do all this? Our goal is to build strong, resilient missionary kids who know and believe that even if they settle on the far side of the sea, just as we had read in that scripture, if they settle on the far side of the sea, even there God's hand will guide them, and that his right hand will hold them fast. And so this is more, this whole experience is a spiritual experience for them. And we want to make it a pleasant one. This evening, I want us to take some time to pray for these children. I have many, many pictures of these kids, and I should have brought some maybe, but I would like for you to pray for some specific things. And I'm going to ask, I know this is not Wednesday night prayer meeting, but they will be thrilled to know that there is a church here in Silver Spring that have prayed for them. I will email them. There are so many of them. We have over 700 missionaries who are out there, and many of them have children. So I will email the ones that I know have email, or email the parents and let them know that you have prayed for them this evening. So I'm going to ask that you have groups of 2 or 3. And these are the specific things that I would like for you to pray for them. Pray for their transition. They have said goodbye to friends, to pets, to their grandparents, to home, church, school, community, relatives, a favorite tree maybe, a room in their house, a teacher. Some of them are in very difficult places. These kids come and I ask them, what do they worry about when they go to a new place? And the list of things they write. Some of them worry about dangerous places that they're going to, the safety. And then some places there's no electricity, no running water, and some places there is just absolute spiritual darkness. So we want to pray for their transition. Another thing I would like for you to pray for is their education. When missionaries go out, when they're called and they go out to the field, this is one thing that the question that always comes up. What kind of school is there for my children? And that's a very good and valid question. Pray for the choice of schools. Maybe they have to homeschool their kids, never done it before. Some children might have to go to boarding school across the ocean to another country to be in a boarding school. There's a different school system altogether. Pray for finances for them as well. So there's quite a list of things when it comes to education. Then I want you to pray for cultural adjustments, learning a new language, food is different, safety, and so forth. And then there's some other things to pray for. Personal, that they are resilient, that they will learn to resist temptation, make wise choices, and that they will be able to endure. Pray for their character. Then pray for friends, choosing new friends. And lastly, once they have gone out there, they come back. And coming back sometimes is even more difficult than it is going out. Because they come back and they're different. They may look like everybody else, but inside, their worldview has changed. They become quite different in their thinking, the way of looking at things. They've traveled places. And so now to try to fit back into their home culture is another big adjustment. So there are several things that we want to pray for these missionary kids tonight. I know you may not know their names, but I've given you several reasons to pray. So I wonder if we can just spend a little time, 2 by 2 or 3, and pray for some of these things tonight. Can we do that?